Joel, oftentimes we talk about developing business, building business. Our topic today is a little unique, knowing when to walk away.
Know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em.
Know when to walk away when the dealing's around.
We may need to cut that one out.
No, I don't know. I think it would be funny. Sorry, Kenny.
We have both spoken to prospects who thought they had written a proposal or a request for proposal.
That sounds exciting.
And when you received it, you realized
It's not so much, but that's really reading it and not listening to the bottom line number. Since I've owned my own company over the last 13 years, I can name several times that people lead with, hey, are you interested in $250,000 a year in business? Well, that $250,000, when you're a startup business, boom, you know, oh my God, yes, I'm very interested. Go ahead and send me that proposal.
I'm saved.
Yay, I'm going to be able to eat. And then you get the scope of work and you start reading through this, 30 to almost 150 pages long, full of legalese. And it was like, well, I'm not going to pay an attorney to read through it. I might highlight areas I need an attorney to interpret for me, but let me read through them first. And it's actually reading every page and every word and every paragraph and actually understanding it. So there's three instances that really stand out in my mind. One, like I said, was for like 6 locations for about $250,000 in business.
Mm-hmm.
Another one was for 1 location that was going to be close to $1 million a month in business. And a third was doing a very well-known national retailer doing all of their locations in the state of New York.
Now, in the context of this conversation, the request for proposal did not meet with your satisfaction.
In these 3 cases, it did not.
Why?
By reading through it, if we go one by one and we go with the one that was the 6 locations and about $250,000, one of the requirements of the building service contractor for the 6 locations was you had to have a walk behind auto scrubber that you had to purchase and leave at each location. 13 years ago, they were around $40,000 each. So 40,000 times 6 is 240,000 just in equipment that the building service contractor was going to have to purchase and put in, and they were going to hold a lien against it as well, even though you owned it. So that was some of the fine print in that particular contract, and there was no way.
And I have to think that that was buried.
It was somewhere buried in the middle. As soon as I saw that, I called and talked to the individual, and they're like, oh no, that's a requirement. You have to hold up to that requirement. Well, if you're buying $250,000 of equipment and they're going to hold it as a lien, and that's your out of pocket up front, and then you still have to clean all these locations.
The advantage to me is?
That's exactly what I said. So I walked away. It did not make sense. And when I told them I was walking away, they were begging me, but it's $250,000 worth of work. And I said, no. It's $250,000 of my money allowing me to clean your facilities that's going to be tied up. The second one, where it was about $1 million a month for a certain location, there were a lot of things that were in there that were deductions. Like they got to make a final determination on what your monthly billing was going to be. And if you didn't put in X number of hours, they were going to deduct it at a certain dollars per hour that they weren't even going to allow you to bill at. So let's say that you were going to bill it at $40 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
They were going to deduct it at $50 an hour for every hour or every partial hour that your employees weren't on site, and that you couldn't bill them for extra projects. And that if you found a way to cut your labor costs by finding a new piece of technology and placing it in the facility, and you could maintain the quality that they wanted, they still based it on the number of hours that your staff worked, and they were going to reduce your bill.
Rather than the results of cleaning. And they had biometrics that they needed all of your employees to touch points in their facility as they went around that would read their fingerprints.
Okay.
And if there was too much of a gap between when they went from the one to the next, they were going to deduct a partial hour for every time they didn't go to the right biometrics. Now, if someone got sick on a floor, that's going to take a little longer to clean up. Sure. They may not get to the next station where they have to do, but again, they're tracking your hours. As an outside contractor, they can't track your hours.
Legally.
In that regard, they had written something into the request for proposal that was in fact illegal.
That's correct.
Okay.
And, having a good relationship with my attorneys, over the course of the 13 years I've been in business, these are some of the things that we've discussed, like who's supplying the chemicals, who's supplying the equipment. If they're going to treat you like an employee, then they have to start paying you like an employee by hours, and they have to pay for the workers' comp, and they have to pay for the insurance. But that was not what they were going to allow in this situation, as well as they wanted you to be identified as the company that you were, but they didn't want you to bill them for the fact that you had to purchase uniforms, and you had to itemize your per hour rate as to what each thing was. So if you were charging a penny for something, what was that penny for? What was that being charged for? And if they found that you were charging for uniforms, they were going to cross that out, and that wasn't going to be the final hourly rate that you were going to be able to charge at. So there's a part of being transparent as a building service contractor, and then there's a part where when I go get my oil change on my vehicle, it's a service. If it takes them 10 minutes, if it takes them an hour, it's still a service.
Right.
Did the oil get changed? Did the filters get changed? Did the plugs all get put back? Did they lube everything? Okay, that's the service. It's posted. That's how much it is. When you're bidding on an account, you're bidding on a service, not hours.
The person in the pit changing the oil is getting more respect than the person who might have to clean up something verging on a biohazard.
Vomit?
Sure. Let's go with that.
It happens. But yes, indeed. And then in the third case, it was most newer companies are all excited when they can have a big national brand as, hey, this is who I do work for.
Sure.
But again, understanding labor laws and states and things like that also pose when you're reading through the request for proposal and they tell you, well, it's only going to take this many hours. And they're telling you how many hours it's going to be. And they're also telling you what the rate per cleaning is going to be. And in this case, I mean, the rate per cleaning was around $21 an hour. Well, we're in New York State. Minimum wage, workers' comp, insurance, you're not going to be able to do the work for $21 an hour.
Sure.
And that's even if you're paying somebody at or near minimum wage. Oh, and some of these accounts were up to 2 hours away from my home city.
So you have to account for travel time or at least management time or something.
Management
there.
time? How are you going to afford management time at a $21 an hour bill rate? It's really looking at these requests and realizing that they're not always put together to help you grow as a business. You're basically going to be paying to have a job is what it comes down to, because you're never going to be able to hire somebody to do the work and grow. And there are people out there that they're okay with doing that, and that's fine. But if you're looking to grow as a company, these are the types of things you have to look at when you're reading through a request for proposal.
So Joel, in bringing this to a close, as a point of warning for our listeners, this potentially puts your business at a huge risk. You might stupidly sign off on something that can't be enforced because it's illegal, but that doesn't mean you aren't going to go through the heartache of having to walk that ball back and deal with an irate customer who sucks up your day, and you're trying to save the account, and on and on and on the heartache goes when you realize, looking back, I wish I'd had someone to help me do this right.
Correct. Having a coach and talking to someone who's been in the trenches, who's been there before, that knows some of the things to look at, why not send that to me and have me look at it for an hour?
Yeah. So folks, you're looking to grow your business. You're looking not to hamstring yourself with what looks like a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Call Joel. Contacts are down below. Contact form is down below. He works with cleaning company owners every week. Joel, thank you.
You're welcome.